Welcome back to the Twinspires Racing Roundtable. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James, Scully, and Vance Hanson to look back at the Busanda Stakes, a dominant performance by Dano in the Pasco Stakes, and we're going to look ahead to the Lecomte at Fairgrounds this weekend. James, it's good to have you back. I hope you enjoyed your vacation.
I did. It's great to be back with you and Vance, Ashley.
All right, and let's jump right in and talk about the Busanda Stakes at Kentucky Oaks Prep, which was won by Brad Cox runner Gin. What were your takeaways from that race, James?
I thought I thought it was a very encouraging performance for Gin. She overcame I thought a tough inside post on that off track and offered a nice move off of the turn to take control and upper stretch. Drew off by about a length, but as far as the Kentucky Oaks go, which is the framework of this question, it just doesn't really tell me anything yet. That race, she did get a little bit tired late going in that mile and an eighth Busanda that Gin did. And the fact that Shimmering Allure, who was the Demoiselle runner-up and odds-on favorite off of that performance, didn't show up at all. She was like one pace throughout and finished a real dull third. Makes me question a little bit the quality of that field also. So Jin's going to have to keep showing more to be a serious Kentucky Oaks contender. But it was an encouraging performance. I'll mention, Brad Cox, the top Oaks contender he has right now is Princess Alpine Princess, who comes off that win in the Untappable Stakes. So we'll wait to see her later on. But we'll see if Jin can continue to show more next time, Vance.
Yeah, my sentiments are kind of along the line of yours. Given the conditions of the track and the spread out nature of the field at the finish, we probably didn't see a true performance by some of the horses that lost, like Shimmering Allure. But overall, in general, I share your opinion. I highly doubt we've seen any major Oaks contenders emerge from this race. The one thing I noticed about Jin's victory, or the one takeaway I'll mention here, is that her win does give a form boost to Intricate, who defeated her and others rather soundly in the Goldenrod Stakes at Churchill in late November. I noticed Intricate just got back on the work tab at Fairgrounds over the weekend, and barring anything unforeseen, I think she should be ready in time to contest the Rachel Alexander Stakes next month at Fairgrounds, Ashley.
Yeah, I agree with you both that I don't think we can necessarily take away a lot from this race. It was a muddy sealed track, and Jin won by a length in a minute 53.31. She had been beaten by 7 lengths in her stakes debut and then about 8 lengths in her most recent start, the Goldenrod. I think the competition was a little bit suspect, but I was interested in Princess Mayfair coming out and racing on dirt for the first time after racing on a synthetic track at Woodbine in her last 3 starts and racing against the males as well in her last start in an allowance. And her trainer said that she actually encountered issues when shipping to New York from Penn National. So had she not had that issue, maybe we would have seen an even stronger performance, but just beaten a length in second and then finished about 9 lengths ahead of Shimmering Allure, who have to tout Blaze Bowman, our guest in the jury. He said to fade Shimmering Allure, and that turned out to be correct. But Princess Mayfair, she is by West Coast, and I wanted to note that we have 3 West Coast fillies in the Kentucky Derby, well, potentially in the Kentucky Derby field right now on the leaderboard. 2 of them are Brad Cox runners as well, with West Omaha, who was second in the Untappable, and then West Sunset, who was the winner of the Rags to Riches. So West Sunset is well represented right now in the Kentucky Oaks leaderboard. And of course, James, you mentioned Brad Cox. He has Alpine Princess, but also he has 7 fillies in total on the Oaks leaderboard at the moment. So I think we'll see at least one of those make the Kentucky Oaks field when it comes to May. I think it's May 3rd. That's my birthday.
There you go. He's got a deep roster of the males too. I think he had 8 individual entrants in like pool 2 of the future wagers. So he's ready in a contingent of fillies and colts for this spring.
Absolutely. Well, let's move over to the sprint division, and Dano dominated on Saturday in the Pasco Stakes, winning by 12.5 lengths. Do you think that Dano will be among the top 3-year-old sprinters this season, Vance?
Well, reading the quotes from trainer Derek Ryan, who we remember trained Musket, this finish in the Kentucky Derby about 15 years ago, it's good to know that the connections Bookham Dano are appear practical about their ambitions with this horse. They're seemingly ruling out throwing him in the Derby fray, which I think is a good idea. It does sound like they're going to pursue the Saudi Derby next month over a one-turn mile. And if he does make that trip, how he does in the sprint division the rest of the year will depend on how well he comes back from that foreign excursion and how quickly he recovers from it. Uh, Bookham Dano, I thought, passed the eye test very well on the Pasco. He didn't pass the time test necessarily. It was still rather modestly slow performance, 123 and change for 7 furlongs. But he does appear to be a potentially major force in the 3-year-old sprint division, races like the Pat Day Mile, the Allen Jerkins later in the year. His proven stamina over 7 furlongs and nearly up to a mile is going to give him plenty of options down the road, James.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely he's a New Jersey bred gelding, and he's by a sprinter out of a sprint female family, a brother to a multiple stakes winning sprinter. So I think he's bred top and bottom for sprints. And right now we're going to have some horses that are on the Derby trail that are going to eventually probably cut back to sprint distances. So to say the 3-year-old sprint division is in flux isn't an understatement at all, but as far as that goes, I mean, Bookham Danham's a towering presence in my estimation. I was impressed by his form last year, the way he won his first 3 starts, including a pair of stakes. I thought he was a little rank in that 1 mile Nashua when he finished, grudgingly finished second. And I loved his turn of foot. I thought that was a real powerful turn of foot. The speed figure didn't come back. It wasn't a huge figure, but I think his numbers will continue to rise. He ran more than a second faster than the 3-year-old filly winner, the 7 furlong
Gasparilla.
Yeah, Gasparilla. And so I really love that 12.5 length victory. I think he's got a bright future in sprints for Derek Ryan. And I was impressed, Ashley.
Yeah, you certainly have to respect him. He won by more than 9 lengths on debut at 5.5 furlongs, then 2 lengths in his first stakes race when winning that at Monmouth, and then won by more than 6 lengths in his next stakes race at Aqueduct. So he is absolutely dominating when he races at sprint distances. And his trainer said that if he hadn't set the pace in the Nashua, he probably would have won that race as well. So we'll see what happens at the Saudi Derby. Well, let's move to what's happening this weekend. We have another Kentucky Derby prep, the Lecomte, which will award 20 points to the first place finisher in that race. And I'll start with James. What are you looking forward to with Lecomte at Fairgrounds this weekend?
Well, I'm looking forward to the main event, the Lecomte Stakes. It's a rematch between Track Phantom, who won the Gun Runner 3 weeks earlier in late December, and Nash, who was the odds-on favorite in that race off a 10-length maiden win at Churchill Downs. Now, Nash faltered, wound up finishing 3rd that afternoon. Those are the two. Those 2 colts are going to be are the class of the field, obviously, in my estimation. I think Nash, after rating last time, is going to show speed right from the start. He's going to play catch me if he can. And he's got a good chance to lead wire to wire at a mile and 16 distance. His main chaser is probably going to be Track Phantom, who has a lot of speed himself. So I could see those 2 running 1-2 in either order the whole way around the track at the finish. And but I have some doubts about both of them at longer distances. So I do think this 8.5 furlong trip will flatter them on Saturday. I'll mention 2 others. Can Group was a talented 2-year-old turf horse. I don't blame him for trying dirt, but he's also a 1-run closer who doesn't appear to have the right setup Saturday in Lecomte. Another one I'll mention is more like a long shot to consider, perhaps for vertical exotics next level. This was a grade 1 place juvenile who put on blinkers in his first 2 starts. I didn't think he ran that well with the hood when he broke his maiden 2 back, and he certainly hated the blinkers last time. So I think he's capable of better, maybe hits the board at a big price. Vance, what are you looking forward to on Saturday's Lecomte?
Well, I'm interested in seeing how the last out maiden winner, Ethan Energy, stacks up against the Lecomte heavy hitters, Track Phantom and Nash. The Brad Cox trainee broke his maiden rather impressively on the same December 23rd card at Fairgrounds that had the Gun Runner. And he was rather impressive that day, rallying from mid-pack on a day when I think it was a much better to be closer to the pace as, like, say, Track Phantom was in the Lecomte. And so the fact that Ethan Energy was able to rally from 4 or 5 lengths back, I thought was very impressive. Uh, well, his final time for a mile and a 16th was 2/5 of a second slower than Track Phantoms. But Ethan Energy was making only his second career start there and his first around 2 turns. So he's got a lot of upside going for him going into the Lecomte. He's by Uncle Mo, and his dam has already produced a grade 3 winning sprint filly. So he's kind of got a lot of inherent class going into the Lecomte. I guess my one main worry about Ethan Energy is that he hasn't shown a lot of tactical foot yet in his 2 starts. He doesn't want to fall too far behind either Nash or Track Phantom, who are much more experienced colts at this point. But Ethan Energy for me is a horse to watch out for going forward, Ashley.
And I'll just say something. Sorry, Ashley. When he won that maiden race, he was the only horse to close from off the pace that day, apparently as well. So that was a very good maiden win. He gets Busanda S for the first time, Ashley.
Yeah, I think between the two of you, you covered almost the entire field. But if Ethan Energy hits in the top 5, he'll be another Brad Cox runner on the Kentucky Derby leaderboard. So something to look out for as well. And I'll mention real quickly the Grade 3 Louisiana Stakes on the Lecomte card. And there are 3 flashy 3-year-olds from last season. We have Red Route 1, Confidence Game, and Saudi Crown all making their 4-year-old debuts in this race. They'll face defending champ Happy American, who just finished 3rd to 5-star general in the Tenacious Stakes at Fairgrounds. Don't really think either of these two are win contenders in this field. We'll also see Smile Happy, another Run Happy son who's making his 5-year-old debut, and Capuna as well making his 5-year-old debut. Capuna and Saudi Crown are the only 2 early pace that are in the field, and I think we're going to get a hot pace in this race. Saudi Crown certainly could go gate to wire. The morning favorite here. I was hoping to get a little bit better price on Smile Happy because I think he can close late to win this race, but he's 9 to 5 on the morning line. He's 3 for 3 from the distance of 1 1/16 of a mile, and he was a surprise winner of the Ali Sheba at Churchill on the Kentucky Oaks undercard last year. But if you're looking for a price, check out Red Route 1. He is 0 for 6 from the distance, but I think he has a chance with a hot pace to close late. He's had triple-digit late pace figures in his last 3. The Real Post is winning at a 33% clip as well at Fairgrounds. So if you want a price here at 5 to 1, look at Red Route 1. But I do think we're going to see Saudi Crown or Smile Happy coming down the wire here. What do y'all think about that race?
I thought that Pennsylvania Derby winner Saudi Crown was very talented last year. Ran a huge race when he got beat a nose by Forte and the Jim Dandy. One thing about him, though, Vance and Ashley, is he is not like one utilizing stalking tactics. So it'll be interesting to see if he is gung-ho for the lead, because 5-star general comes off a wire-to-wire win at Tenacious, and he is absolutely going to be quarter horsing it for the lead in my estimation. And you got this Capuna in there as well, who's a speed horse. So I do think there's a hot pace in there in the Louisiana, Vance.
Yeah, I'll echo your sentiments. Saudi Crown was really coming on late in the second half of the year in the Jim Dandy and Pennsylvania Derby. Still lightly raced too. He's got a lot of potential going forward.
Real quick, I'll mention we also have a Kentucky Oaks prep, the Silver Bullet Day in West Omaha, one of those West Coast fillies. It's going to be racing here. Have you all looked at the Silver Bullet Day? Have an opinion, James?
I don't have an opinion yet. I'm going to do a little bit more work. You know, that race is a little bit up for grabs, though, I thought, Vance.
Yeah, I mean, West Omaha is definitely the filly to beat now, since Alpine Princess, who beat her last time, is passing on this race and waiting for the Rachel Alexandra. So I think this is the opportunity for West Omaha to come to the fore if she's going to on the Oaks Trail.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, well, that's all the time we have today for the Racing Roundtable. We'll be back next Tuesday to recap the Lecomte, and check us out on Thursday with our best bets and fades of the week on the Twinspires jury. We'll see you next time.